Good evening, everybody. I'm Sumeeta from UNDP, and just as a brief introduction, UNDP basically, as many of you may know, is an intergovernmental organization. So I'm going to really focus on democracy 2.0 from the lens of what can be, should be the future role of government using ICT for sustainable poverty reduction, for sustainable human development, and always keeping people at the center of development. So basically, what is already happening and what should be happening much more is what I'm going to talk about. Engaging people, so principles of participation, engaging people both in the national planning process. I think many of you know that our old defunct planning commission actually opened up through Facebook and had citizens. Here you can see even the most local level of resource planning in a village can actually be where people are so engaged. Government can play a role in capturing what people are saying through these planning processes using technology. You don't see the technology yet, so that's the future part. And another very interesting thing I wanted to talk about is how governments can really play an amazing role by highlighting issues. This is really in Indonesia, provincial maps of how different provinces are faring on accountability, transparency, on different parameters of democracy and governance. And it's just this kind of transparent sharing of information that can be play an important role in future democracy. This one is of course familiar to all of you. We're bang in the midst of the largest election in the world. Election awareness, voter awareness campaigns, and also now increasing transparency. There is I don't know how many of you know, there is a paper audit trail being piloted right now where you can actually see when your ballot drops who the vote is going to. This is really a reflection of how governments or institutions can engage citizens through technology in knowledge sharing processes, sharing solutions, sharing best practices, and bringing people together in thematic communities to learn. This is an example of basically at the most local level, at the village level, using technology to spread education where there aren't any schools, but where there is, in many cases, there is, and there's going to be broadband connectivity, we know, across all the panchayats. So it really opens up the space for education using technology. This one is actually from one of our projects where NREGA workers, the women workers, were being able to access information, simply a voice-over technology, and they could get information on their rights, entitlements under the government program in the panchayat office. And here, basically, I want to reflect how it's also important, for government to capture information of every household. And there again, greater transparency and greater credibility of data can come using technology. Picking up household data, connecting to the district servers, and making sure that district governments have access to the most real-time and accurate data. This is actually an example of a Paheli survey which has been done by Pratham, the same organization that does the Asar survey, and how they really use pictorial tools. The IT aspect has not come in yet, but we are trying to kind of merge it with IT to see how we can do household surveys where people actually relate to the photograph and are able to answer survey questions. This one is, of course, UID is a new one. These are old smart cards which were used in Andhra Pradesh. Sorry, this one is also an Aadhaar. I've picked the wrong slide. But basically how greater citizen identity using ICT can ensure a more direct participation and transparency. This one is also from a NREGA program where we try to bring in biometric authentication to ensure that beneficiaries actually get what is due to them, which I think many of you know is the biggest challenge on the last mile delivery. This is an info thela in Bittur in Uttar Pradesh where it's basically a mobile computer learning kind of system where kids can go and learn about health, education, awareness on those aspects. And this is again something where the remotest areas where there are challenges of infrastructure, challenges of even teachers reaching out, where technology can play a role. This one I think many of you may be familiar with, ICT e-Chopad, where farmers get real-time information on prices in the market and they cut the role of the middlemen, get better prices. This is an interesting picture. I was basically trying to say that right from traditional livelihoods to more modern livelihoods, or even a mix of the two, combining traditional livelihoods with access to the market, especially for women, is another area that governments and technology enabled government services can play a huge role. So you can see how this really kind of another generation this lady comes from. Her craft is from another generation, and she's able to now connect to the market using her mobile. There's another very interesting aspect to government and the role of government, which is, I think, accountability. How do you hold people accountable using technology? So in this case, it's a school, it's teachers, holding them accountable, making village education committees and parents more aware of grievance redressal mechanisms. This one also is a grievance redressal mechanism where a woman who's working in one of the livelihood programs, government livelihood program, is able to actually record her grievance, and the village worker then conveys the grievance to the block officer. So again, very kind of rudimentary, simple, and then of course, as important as it is, the role of technology and governments in addressing corruption and really being able to take voices real time of people on what's happening in government offices, what's happening in terms of bribes, etc. But this one really is again the role of government, but much more on how community radio can be used to record voices, to convey messages, but also record voices of people and take those messages and priorities of the people back to governments in the district and state. And the last one I want to talk about is GIS and mapping of GIS to again bring greater transparency in the way government is creating assets, whether it's wells or check dams or schools, and how it can be monitored and tracked much better. Thank you.